This is the 5 Point Play Podcast, the Die Hard Duke basketball fans podcast. What a game on Saturday. Duke comes up on the losing end. We're going to do the preview again. But yeah, no, it was a hell of a game. Hats off to Wake Forest. Shot 100% from three in the second half, 70% from the field. If I would have told you that Duke would have out-rebounded, shot 53% from the field, 44% from three, and 80% from the line, and they lost, I wouldn't say you're crazy. But, another thing is that if a team's going to play like the way Wake Forest and the way Hunter Salas in particular played in that second half and pretty much that entire game, hats off to you. So we're going to get into the entire game there. We'll kind of take it back a week and talk about Duke's dominating performance at Miami. We'll get into some mailbag and then we'll give you a couple previews. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this topic. We got Conor O'Neill, who's been making the rounds all day in the last basically 36 to 48 hours. So we appreciate him giving us a couple minutes here. Conor, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the court storming topic that has been beaten to death like a dead horse. But, I kind of want to get your feelings really quick on that. I'll give mine. We'll give everybody here a chance to give their 15 seconds on it, and then we'll talk about that game. But I'll let you have the floor first.
You mean you don't want to talk about how all 3,000 people that go onto the court should be arrested and charged with
trespassing and
yeah.
Look, Jay Billis was a lawyer, and he wants that RICO case, just like in Dark Knight. He wants the RICO case.
It'd be the second most prolific case he ever took. Shout out to Barney the dinosaur.
I've seen a one-Wake court storming before, and it was actually against Duke in 2020, and it seemed to go a lot smoother. I think their procedures were kind of lost in the shuffle, and I don't think we need to end court storming everywhere for all time after this. In regard to this one, I don't really care if Kyle Filipowski threw an elbow or if he put his leg out or not. I think that when you've just lost an emotional game and you see dozens of people storming onto the court within seconds of the end of that game, and it triggers your most primal instinct, which is fight or flight. And that's the way I see it. Everybody's going to see what they want to see on the replay. And when it's slowed down to, 1/16th second frame, it's just, you're going to see what you want. So more attention needs to be paid to the situations with a fan getting in Mark Mitchell's face and flipping him off. More credit needs to be given to Mark Mitchell for not reacting worse than he did. And more attention needs to be paid to Jared McCain having a fan get in his way as he was trying to leave the court. And that fan looked like they were trying to instigate something that was a lot worse than it turned out. So just an all around awful scene. And yeah, but I don't think that we need to ban the practice forever.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Conor. I said this even after the game that it's an unfortunate situation that took away from what was a great basketball game and probably the best performance that Wake has had in years, in a game that they had to have. And so that really should be the focus. I don't think that you should stop the art of storming the court. I think the people that have come on in the last, couple days and tried to equate Duke football storming the field against Clemson, I think that is the laziest, stupidest analogy that somebody can make. The bottom line is that first of all, the Wake fans were on the court before the game even ended. So the argument that people tried to make of, well, they should have ran off the court faster, they knew it was going to happen. Well, the game wasn't even over yet. And then secondly, I don't care what sport it is, you don't have the right to touch a player. You don't have the right to get in their face. You're running out there, your phones are in your hands, you're not paying attention, and you're trying to, like you said with the Jared McCain, you're trying to get You're trying to instigate him, and good for him for not taking the bait. To me, this is all on Wake Forest. As a school, they should have had more security. This is the biggest game that they've had in years. They openly said this is the first sellout that we've had in 7 years. It is the biggest game in Forbes, tenure as a coach. It is, a game that they have to have. The fans were out there since 1 a.m., all these things. So if all these things are true that you're openly admitting, then wouldn't it be smart to have extra security in a game that you're also favored on? So, to me, it's stupid. It should have never happened. It puts an ugly mark, and that's why over the last couple of days is all anybody's talking about. It's not talking about how great Hunter Solis was. It's not talking about how good of a game it was and how great of a win it was for Wake Forest in a game that will get them into the NCAA tournament. That's my take. D, what do you got?
I don't know. Two things. So, great points, both sides. I think you do say enough is enough. Stay off the court. The back of your ticket says you're not allowed on this court. You're not allowed on this field, whatever. Court storming 15 years ago, 10 years ago was different. Let's be honest. It was a different cultural society. Like people were just damn nicer 10 years or 15 years ago. What is it going to take to get it banned? Do you want a brawl? Do you want mayhem? Because I don't care how many yellow jacket folks are on the sidelines. If 6,000 students want to run onto a basketball court, then 6,000 students are going to run onto a basketball court. So at a certain time, you just have to say, no, this is not okay. We can't do it anymore. It's flat out unsafe. It's like screaming fire in a theater. You just can't do it. And it's a rule that's been tolerated. Like we all know that this is not allowed. You're not allowed on this playing surface. But it's a rule that we have just tolerated because nothing has happened. So I guess typical American fashion, we have to have something terrible happen in order for it to get banned. And this is the first domino.
Yeah, Jack, where do you stand?
When I was a senior in college, I went to a small Division III school. We beat the number 12 team in the country. It was a massive upset. I was sitting in the first row, and I did not storm the court. I wanted to. I was incredibly excited. I didn't. I understand the emotion. I understand wanting to. I also understand that at least one person actively and deliberately made contact with Flip, the guy pushing him in the back. I don't know if I'm not going to act like I know that the guy who hit Flip on the front side was trying to run into him. I know the guy who shoved him in the back was. You can see that that's deliberate. The people that went after Mark, again, like Conor said, shout out to Mark for not making that a bigger deal than it was and keeping it from becoming a bad situation. The guy who had to be held back by, I want to say it was Jay Lucas. I couldn't tell from the video, but it looked like Jay Lucas had to physically restrain a Wake fan who was blocking Jared's way off the court. Like, the entitlement that you have to think that you can go after someone who, when you're invading their space, it's just not okay. Like,
a kid, too.
Yeah, storming the court.
We're talking about kids.
Both sides of this situation are kids. I understand it. I understand it from the fan perspective. That being said, it is not okay for a player to be attacked, antagonized, any of that. You got to let them safely get off the court. Like, people were comparing this to when Duke rushed the field against Clemson. You look at that, they are actively avoiding the Clemson players. And, there's a whole sea of blue on the field except for the Clemson players are going back to their bench.
Yeah, the football comparison just doesn't work. It's 94
It
feet
doesn't.
compared to 120 yards.
Right.
It doesn't work. And even if it did, though, they're avoiding the Clemson players.
Yeah.
It's also
I will also add our wearing pads and helmets.
It's an underdog team that Vegas said would lose by 34 points, not a team that Vegas said would win by 2.5 points.
Yes.
Let's throw that out there too.
Yes. But as a result of this level of entitlement that these kids felt they had, and again, I'm saying this as someone who just got out of college myself a few years ago, now we have an injured player, and it's a good thing it's only one person who appears to have been injured in all this, because it really could have gone a lot worse
It could have been
for
the
the
malice
Duke
of
players, for
Dallas
the
all
Wake
over.
students. Oh, it's easily. Shire tried to fight someone, it looked like, and had to get held back.
Give him his flowers for that too.
Seriously.
He's going to stand up for them kids. Good for him.
I want to say, yeah, the coaching staff did a fantastic job of managing a situation they have no reason to be dealing with. They were put into a situation they had no. That's not their job description, and they did a great job.
Yeah, Pablo, do you have anything to add here? I know this is not your favorite topic.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it'd be a different conversation if one of these players slapped the shit out of one of these fans. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't even be mad at it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know where I'm from. You're not going to get in my face like that. It's not happening. You know
Like
what I mean?
Connor said,
So
fight or flight, man.
at the end of the day, I think it's, honestly, I think it's dangerous. I think, they're playing with fire. You know what I mean? They got to understand that these guys are 6'5", 7 foot, 6'9". If they hit somebody, it's going to be a totally different conversation, man. That's all I'm saying. So, at the end of the day, like, if you walking on the street and somebody push you or punch you in the back, that's assault. I'm just saying. I mean, that's just how I feel. You know what I mean? I come from that kind of background where, I'm protection. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. I mean, I'm over the whole situation. I think they need to do a better job of protecting these players and coaches and family members that are, that happen to be in the crowd as well. So, it is what it is, man. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? It is going to happen. I think there is things you could do to cure the problem. But at the end of the day, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We move on. I mean, it probably won't be the last. I mean, Duke is everybody's national championship. So you beat Duke, shit, everybody's storming the court. So we just got to win.
Yeah, every game we lose on the road is a court storm. Everybody knows that, and that was one of my points. Wake Forest should have come into this knowing that. AC, I purposely have you last here to kind of close this one out.
Yeah, I mean, I've stormed the court at Virginia Tech. I've stormed the field at Virginia Tech. Both are fun.
You should have got arrested,
and I should have got arrested. Like Jay Billis said, I should be in jail right now too. Like, and that's cool. Like, you know what? That's the thing though, right? Because like when you do storm the court, there's always security. They grab one or two people. They always do. They always do detain one or two just to pretend like they're doing something. But
the slow ones.
I mean, like when a streaker runs on the field, what happens? The dude gets tackled and everybody celebrates it, right? The players will tackle a streaker when they run on the floor or run on the field, and it's celebrated. People love it. So the people who are trying to blame Flip for like, oh, he tried to trip him, where's that same energy, right? Where's the same energy when this is their place of business? This is where they're doing their work. If I'm at work and 100 people rush me, I'm swinging. Like that's how it goes, man. Like, sorry, that's case in point. And what like D said, what it's going to take is either somebody getting seriously injured or a malice in the palace type of situation. People used to storm the court in NBA games. I know people are like they don't storm the court in NBA and NFL, everything else. They do. There's plenty of clips when the Boston Celtics would win a championship and all the fans are running on the court celebrating with the team and stuff. That has happened, but malice in the palace pretty much ended that for all pro teams for the most part. So. That's what it's going to take to get it to stop. I'm not sitting here saying stop it. I'm just saying there are ways to make it better. There are ways to try to curb situations like this for any team. It doesn't matter that it's just our team that it happened to. Caitlin Clark got clipped earlier in the year too, and there's no excuse for a 45-year-old man clipping a woman basketball player running off the court, a 20-year-old woman basketball player running off the court. There's no excuse for that. So, it is, it is, again, like Pablo said, it is what it is. I think there's ways to curb it, and that's my opinion on it.
All right.
I want to say one last thing.
Yep.
I hate this topic. I think we should move on, but I just want to say one last thing just to make you think. When Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's record, two like 20-something-year-old people ran onto the field with him, trying to congratulate him. He said in that moment he was scared for his life.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yep. Nobody belongs in the field with the players.
The guy.
If you want to feel like you belong in the field of players, then get better at the sport, and then you can play. Yep. That's the only reason you should be on the floor with anybody. That's the only reason, man. You don't deserve to be there otherwise. So sit in the stands, pay your ticket price, and shut up. That's it, man.
Facts.
Now let's talk about the best basketball game Duke has been involved in this season, because wow, objectively that was great.
It was a great basketball game.
It was a fantastic game.
It was a fantastic basketball game. Connor, you were there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, kind of your perspective. Obviously, you cover both teams. You know, I just thought personally both teams played at a very high level. Duke, had a couple turnovers there toward the end that I think cost their chances of, being able to get a victory on the road. But credit to Hunter Salas and credit to Wake Forest. You shoot 100% from three, 70% from the field in the second half. Deserves the win.
Yeah, I mean, I've put this out there. Like, that was the best game I've seen all year. I think it was the best game I've seen in 2 years. Like, the only one that comes to mind as being as close, it was the Duke-Miami game in the semis last year in the ACC tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of came with the caveat of they lost Norchad O'Meara a minute into the game.
Yep.
It was just such a high-level game with such great shot making. I liked Shire's comment afterward. I don't know if this is going to step on the X's and O's version of you guys doing this, but he was just basically like, I don't know if it was really chess as much as it was just checkers. Like, we were doubling the post. They were kicking it out and hitting threes, so we couldn't do that anymore. And we went one-on-one in the post, and they were scoring over us in the post. So it was easy to track. Every bucket felt like it was a momentum shift. I think in the second half, the biggest, quote unquote run was 6-0 by Wake, and that was 2 3-pointers. There was never a stretch of a team going for 3 or 4 buckets in a row and getting a bunch of stops. It was just the level of play and the level of execution was just too high. And it did kind of suck that it came down to a couple mistakes at the end, 2 by Roach, and then Proctor throwing the ball out of bounds after Wake made a couple of the, that failed alley-oop from Salas to Reed had disaster written all over it. I'm sure some hearts were in throats from the Wake perspective on that one. Steve Forbes probably is among those, but it just an incredible game, incredible atmosphere. That's part of the other part of the court storming discourse takes away from the fact that it was just the best crowd they've had in years and years and years. And it was electric. It was worth every bit of the hype and anticipation that I felt coming into it.
It felt like it. Sorry, TK. It felt like one of those old Duke Wake games, right? Like when they used to have Vitas Danilus and who was it?
Randolph Childress.
Yeah, Childress. Even after all the guys afterwards when Skip Prosser was there, when Wake was perennially ranked in the top 10.
Tony Rutland.
Yeah, man. Like it's good for basketball. It's good for the ACC, right? Like we want the ACC to look better, so our record appears better, so we get higher seeds and all the other stuff we all want. We need Wake to be good. Honestly, like it's a program that has been good in basketball for a long time. Like we need this type of thing, man. It was a great game.
I've had this conversation with people. I've actually had this conversation with Randolph about Wake should be good at basketball. Like it's nice to go to bowl games. It's nice to tout a football program that is no longer a doormat program, but you want your Tobacco Road schools to be good at basketball. It's hardwired into the fabric of this whole state.
Correct.
And so, going through 10 years of Jeff Pazdelik and Danny Manning getting the 1 First 4 in 10 years, and it's just not who Wake needs to be. And Forbes has it rolling in the right direction. And this was kind of the watershed moment of, yes, it can happen for this program again. Like they can get back onto the national stage where they spent about 2 decades under Odom, Prosser, and then a little bit of Dino Gaudio.
Oh, Dino Gaudio. God, I forgot about him. So kind of bringing it back to the kind of the actual game flow. So I thought Jeremy Roach made a lot of clutch buckets there in the second half, and it's like when we needed one, we're going to Jeremy Roach. I thought Tyrese Proctor made a lot of solid plays in the second half, and it's to me kind of like, all right, Proctor's ready to start now going forward. That was before we even knew about Caleb Foster injuring his ankle. Yeah. But kind of talk about it from a Duke perspective. What did you like? What did you not like? Obviously the turnovers, but anything else?
I actually. Oh, my bad.
No, it's like you said earlier, Connor. Like, if you told me that Duke out-rebounded these guys, they didn't have as many turnovers, Wake Forest only had 4 offensive rebounds, and Duke still lost, I don't know if I believe you. I think Proctor played out of his mind good. I know he only had 14 or 15 points, 14 points, 1 turnover. It looked like every time he touched the ball, he was about to make a play. I think I knew what he was trying to do at the end. Him and Flip run that a lot. Flip just throws like an overhead pass, and he cut straight to the basket. And I think I saw the vision. I don't think they were on the same page. But that was a great basketball game, man. It was 2 heavyweights throwing haymakers at each other for 40 minutes. And I think everybody but me wanted overtime. But it was a good game. And I don't want the court thing to take away from how well Steve Forbes has this Wake Forest team playing, because they are playing out of this world.
Yeah, Connor, from a Wake Forest perspective, what did they do so well other than just honestly shoot the lights out? But, I thought their ball movement was really good. I thought they were working the inside out. Defensively, they made it tough on Duke, and we know Duke made shots, but
they've, in the last 6 to 7, maybe 8 games, really since late January, they've switched up their ball screen coverages and going through like the games all run together. It was sometime in late January where they were basically just a drop coverage team. Like, they were going to give you that long 2 and not give you a 3 and not give you anything going to the basket. And they got burned by RJ Davis hitting a bunch of elbow jumpers. They got burned by Pitt's guards, who are really good contested shot makers. So they've changed it up. They blitz a little bit. They switch a little bit. They don't do it much, but they do it enough to kind of keep you off balance. And they just throw a little bit of misdirection. And that's what has helped their defense over the last month. That's what they did against Duke to at least kind of negate Duke's talent differential. Because, I mean, we're still talking about a different talent levels across the board with these guys. But the offense, I mean, there were what, 4 first-round picks on the court. If you take Flip, Proctor, and McCain, we assume all those guys will be first-round picks at some point. Maybe this year, maybe one of them next year. And then I think Hunter Salas is a first-round pick, and I thought on Saturday he was the best player on the court, which I think you have to have when you're playing a team like Duke. You have to have the best player on the court, and that's what he was. I mean, 29 points on 11 of 13, and if you go back, like, he's shown himself to be a clutch player. Their biggest home game until Saturday was 2 weeks ago against NC State. He had 33 points on like 12 for 19 shooting, or 12 for 17, something ridiculous. So it's like 62 points on 23 of 30, which is absurd.
Yeah, AC, I thought that sums it up pretty good. Obviously Duke, overall has the talent advantage, but when you're talking about, Hunter Salas, that's a guy that we recruited, that you and I both wanted at Duke. But, overall, there are some positives to take away from this, if you're Duke. And it's not just that, our seeding may have gone from a ceiling of 2 to now it's a ceiling of 3, whatever, who cares? But Duke hung tough that entire game when Wake Forest is shooting the lights out. And when they made their little run, Duke counter. And I think there's a lot to take away from it. What's the biggest takeaway from a Duke perspective coming out of there?
I think there's 2. Honestly, I think there's 2 things that, and I definitely want to get Pobbs on here after this just to see where his head is on this one. In my opinion, there's 2 things that need to be that need to be addressed, because I thought we played a great game. I thought our rotations were good. The players that came in the game outside of 1 or 2, really helped affect the game. But just there's a couple of things I think that we, in a game like this, you need, right? Like, you need some one-on-one play, and I thought that was a strength of ours earlier in the season because we weren't sharing the ball well. Now we've shared the ball so well, it's almost like we don't have many one-on-one plays to go to outside of Roach. So in a game like this, that was Salas, man. Salas was going one-on-one at times towards the end of the game, doing his thing, like doing the thing that a top-notch player does. He was arguably the best player on the floor last time we played Wake at Cameron. He had a great game. He was efficient. He had a really good game, right? Like him, Flip, and Mitchell all had great games. But this is one of those times where you kind of want some guys to be able to go one-on-one. We saw that at the end of the game. The end of the game is not the cause of us losing the game, but you saw that when we needed a possession or two towards the end of the game, we couldn't get it. But I think that's going to change. I think that can get better. I think that's something that they can address moving forward. Like that's why I like this loss right now, honestly, is these little things we can address and clean up before the tournament. The other thing is being able to get a stop here or there when we really, really need a stop. That's the biggest one in my opinion. And we have to be able to buckle that. We can't use the excuse of we don't have a rim protector anymore because we know that. We know what we don't have. We know what we don't have. We don't have big guards. We don't have rim protector, all that. So at this point, our coaches are good enough. They're good enough defensive minds and everything else to be able to scheme and devise something for us to be able to get a stop here or there when we truly need it in a game like this where overall defense really isn't going to matter. Defensive plays here or there truly matter. So that's my two takeaways that I want to see. Just want to see some improvement off of that as well.
Yeah, Pablo, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what AC said. I think overall, a big part of the game too is I think, we're not giving Coach Forbes enough credit for is the things that he did on offense to get Duke out of position a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't do, other than the big kid, what's his name? Carr or something like that?
Yeah.
Andrew Carr.
Scoring over Mark Mitchell a few times, he's got the height advantage. So he did a good job of playing one-on-one and like posting up and scoring some easy baskets over him. But
that kid's a future pro, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's got game.
That size and that ability, he's a future pro.
There's a couple pros for Wake Forest.
I just think that overall, they did a good job of getting Duke's defensive out of position. It wasn't just kind of like ball screen or middle ball screen offense. He ran a lot of misdirection stuff, but he did a good job of getting his guys, just using different type of cuts and creating advantages, man. Like when the ball was in the air, Wake Forest players would be running to the ball, at certain angles, catching the ball screen and they'd be going, man. They got our defense out of position a lot of times, man, and open. They would just drive, kick, open 3-pointers. I really don't know what Duke was doing on some of those 3-pointers. Those dudes were so open, man. I was just like, damn, shit. Yeah. I was like, man, he's definitely gonna hit that. So overall, man, the game was just, we had our chances though. Don't get me wrong. We definitely like Wake Forest, like definitely towards the end of the game, they wanted to lose that game. We just didn't take advantage of it, man. Like I was like, shit, I don't understand what we were doing. So overall, I'm not discouraged. I definitely don't subscribe to the fact that we need to lose to be better later. I don't really subscribe to that, but we lost the game, so it is what it is, man. On to the next.
Jack, wanted to bring you in here for your thoughts. I thought kind of just talking about that last play. Mark Mitchell does a great job getting that defensive stop. We get the ball back with 7 seconds left or so. Proctor has it, and I must have watched that last play that he was talking about in slow motion 10 to 12 times after that game, just trying to figure out what happened. And it was like, I think there's certainly miscommunication. I think that, Flip was going to dive and Proctor thought he was bouncing out, and that's why he made that pass and kind of realized when Flip wasn't there, kind of fumbles it. So it was a lack of commitment to whatever they were going to try to run. I'd rather just kind of see Proctor find a way just to take it to the hole, make something happen. So there was a little indecisiveness there, but kind of overall, in that last play, in last moment situations in games, what would you like to see?
In that specific situation, I want to see Tyrese take that ball to the hoop. He had the lane to get there. It might have been contested, but he's a 6'5" point guard. He's got the ability to get to the hoop and finish that shot. Would have tied the game. You know what? It is what it is. The idea, I think, was to go to a 3 flip, which had worked a couple of possessions before. But I'm not going to sit here and act like that was a smart decision in a game where you're down 2. You don't necessarily need to go for the win unless your name is Austin Rivers. So it's what could have been, but at the end of the day, yeah, Salas and Carr, I think, were phenomenal. Duke had a lot of balanced play and then had a lot of balanced foreplay in the last few possessions. It's just what it is. It was an amazing game, and I think Duke, even after a loss, is better for it.
Yeah, Connor, we know that we're keeping you overtime here, so we'll get you out on this one. Would you like to see these two play again in the semis or in the finals of the ACC tournament?
That's a harder question for me to answer than anything about court storming and all that stuff. Honestly, I would love to see it just as a basketball fan or just as an objective observer. I mean, 80 minutes between these teams, and there's 4 points of separation. Duke was +4, Wake wins by 4, or Duke was +8, Wake wins by 4. I mean, I think it would be another electric game, and kind of headed down that path based on Virginia trending down, Wake trending up, getting to the 3 seed, and Duke being the 2 unless they're able to beat Carolina and beat Virginia and win at state. I would say that Duke has a little bit of a tougher path to that number 1 spot than Carolina does right now, even though they're struggling as we're recording against a really underhanded Miami team.
They're in a dogfight against Miami right now.
Yeah, this is a little weird. But
oh my gosh.
Oh, let's not jinx anything.
No, I'm saying that to Davis. He has 42.
Oh, Jesus. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
ACC Player of the Year.
That's the highest scoring game in the ACC all year over Blake Henson. But the only thing that gives me pause is these games are pains in the ass because I get accused of being a homer. I get told that I need to bury one team for the other.
Take a side.
Yeah, it's like I really don't care who wins. I just want to see good basketball, and now I have the ultimate hopefully no fan runs out on the court and clips somebody. Hopefully we don't have to have an entire discourse. Saturday sitting in the Joel media room was one of the most miserable experiences of my life, or at least of my career, just because you watch this incredible game for 130 minutes or whatever it was, and it's all secondary because of the 30 seconds afterward and then the press conferences. It's just, I don't want that. But if you can give me another game without all the drama and bullshit afterward, I'll sign on the dotted line right now.
Right?
Yes, please. I would love that.
Yeah.
Well, Connor, I hope it happens. I really do. And if so, we'll bring you back on here for Wake Duke Part 3. But we appreciate your time, and go get some sleep, buddy.
Sure. My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Take care, man.
Good stuff. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
So Conor O'Neill, obviously covering both Duke and Wake. Appreciate his time coming on here. Before we get into, we'll do a quick Miami recap, just because it was a great performance by Duke. AC, I know that Miami was underhanded when they played Duke in Coral Gables, but that was by far the best Duke that I've seen in a long time.
No, and I think that's what leads to the game we see against Wake Forest, right? Offensively, we're clicking, we're on, firing on a lot of cylinders, and I like the trajectory of this team. Just barring health, we need to get people healthy, make sure they're as healthy as they can be for the tournament. Nobody's gonna be 100% healthy going into the tournament, but Miami signified us going to another team's home gym and beating them down like we were supposed to. We were supposed to beat Miami down, and we did. So it worked out because it's a team that's on the ropes, and good for us for doing so. It's kind of how I feel about it. I don't know if there's a lot of takeaways from that game other than it was the start of the trajectory.
Yeah, go ahead, D.
No, AC summed it up perfectly. There's bad games where you last year at Miami. Lose by 30, throw that film out. There's nothing to next play. this year at Miami, win by 30, throw that film out. Nothing we can take away from here. Next play. And like, I don't see it any other way. Like, yeah, we just kicked their teeth in, and shots were falling. Everybody's shots was, I mean,
Okay, man.
we're pulling up from the logo. So,
Yeah, look, exactly. It was a 3-game road stretch where, you know, if you go 2-1, you take it, especially with the loss being the one at Wake. You hate to lose
Absolutely.
any time, but that's what Duke did. They did a great job. Obviously, Jeremy Kane was historic in the game against Florida State. Miami, the whole team stepped up, and both offensively and defensively, it was just a beatdown, like an old school Duke beatdown, and that was fun. And then you go to a high intensity, high octane environment on the road, classic ACC. You put up a fight. You put up a really good fight. You had your chances. But, like AC said, I agree with him. The trajectory of this team is still high and is still trending upwards. Do you feel any differently?
No. I think, seeing the team playing just so balanced is a good thing because, someone has a bad night, the other guys can step up and fill in for them as opposed to just relying on, oh, I hope that someone scores 24 tonight. Because that's not going to be a consistently functional game plan. You need that balance. I think we had 4 guys put up double figures and no one put up more than 16 against Miami or something like that. Also, shout out Neil Begovic for getting on the board there. And then same thing with Wake. The offense was great. I think Flip was the leading scorer with like 17. And as a whole, the team put up 79, right? Like, that's pretty impressive.
correct. But now Duke is, I don't know how many losses they have on the season, but whenever Mark
6.
Nickel doesn't score double digits, they lose.
Yeah, that seems to be being hold true that when Mark Mitchell doesn't score in double digits, we're susceptible to a loss.
He's
Pablo,
hitting tough twos, man. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's hitting tough twos. Tough twos are the keys to winning games. Threes will stretch a lead out for you. Threes will get you back into a game. Tough twos are how you win close, difficult games. And we didn't hit tough twos at the end of the game because we were turning the ball over, this and that. Tough twos win games for you. When Mark Mitchell's in double figures, it's because he's hitting tough twos. And he would have been in double figures if he hit a few more free throws, which I hate to say it, but there you go, D. Like, free throws could have won this game. Like, very easily.
Can I quickly say we haven't even brought up the Jalen Blakes? We haven't even brought up the Jalen Blakes foul.
Friend of the podcast, we weren't going to bring it up. We're just going to talk about him joining the podcast.
That's him. Much love for Jalen.
Whatever you're getting in NIL, we'll pay you from our proceeds from the podcast. Look, just come on over.
I have a lot of love for Jay Blakes. Again, friend of the podcast. We got him on our live show at Countdown. It wasn't a good play. It was not the smart thing. It was not the smart play. I just want to make sure that we are in agreement. Like, it was not a smart play, and those 2 points ended up making a pretty significant difference.
It was a horrible play that should have never happened because I think that, and Pablo, we talked about this in our text during the game, where, if Kyle Filipowski is going to shoot that shot with 7 seconds left at the end of the first half, you got to commit to that shot. He didn't commit to that shot. He hesitated, knew he probably shouldn't have taken it, took it anyway, and it gave Wake Forest an opportunity. And so instead of being up 4 at worst, now you give them the opportunity to enter in the friend of the podcast stupid foul, and that was a huge 2 points, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're playing in a hostile environment, man, you don't want to leave nothing on the table. You know what I'm saying? And you definitely don't want to spot anybody any points. You know what I mean? We lost by 4. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that play. That was just crazy. But so I think just speaking on the Miami game a little bit, then I'll just jump back to the other game. But just the Miami game, I think we see what peak Duke looks like, especially with good point guard play. And even the game against Wake Forest, we had good point guard play. So if we get good point guard play, we're never going to – if we do lose, it's never going to be by a lot. You know what I'm saying? If you get good point guard play. And just go back to the Miami game. I mean, at the end of the day, we shot the lights out, man. I mean, we have a ton of shooting on this team. If we play like that for 6 games in the NCAA tournament, we'll be national champions. Bottom line, I don't think anybody could beat us with the shot making, play making that we have, beating guys off the dribble, and Flip. I don't even need Flip to be elite. I just need to be Flip to be very good. You know what I mean? If Flip is very good, we're fine. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm not really too concerned with the just driving back to Wake. I'm not really too concerned with the Wake Forest loss. Because you see at any moment we can, pause, we can explode and pause, relax. And
You already
we can,
said beating guys off the dribble, so I don't want to hear it.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness
I don't want to
gracious!
hear it.
Wow.
I don't want to hear pauses right now.
What's going on right there? I tell you what.
Did I say that?
Oh yeah.
I did say
Run
that.
it back. We're recording, so
But
we'll find
look,
out.
Yeah. We'll pause. But anyway, yeah, we good, man. You threw me off right there. So, we good, man. I feel really good. I still feel really, really good about this team, especially going into the tournament. I think we're gelling, and we straight, bro. It's Duke all day, baby.
right around this time, the 01 team played Wake, beat them on Chris Duhon prayer. If we lost that game, that team still wouldn't won the national championship. This doesn't change anything for us, in my opinion. I think we said that on the Spaces, and I say it again now. This doesn't change anything for us. I think it validated the guys and what they were doing on offense. I think it's going to bolster them and some of the things they need to do on the other end of the floor. And so I think Tyrese Proctor sees his mistake at the end of this game. He's like, "Don't give the ball up anymore. That's your ball now.
Yeah.
It's either your ball. It's either your ball, or if you don't want it, it's Jimmy Roach's ball. It's one of the two."
I think
That's where it puts us with this.
I didn't mean to cut you off, AC. My fault.
No, you good. I'm done.
I think the biggest takeaway from that Wake Forest win against Duke is Proctor going, all right, damn that. We ain't doing that again. If we're going to lose, I have an elite layup package. I'm a 6'6" guard. I can get to the rim at ease.
If it's not him, it's Roach. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. If it's not him, it's Roach. Roach is proven. He's proven to be clutch. Tyrese is clutch, right? It's not just the shots you make at the end of the game. The threes that Reese hit and when we were down after those Hunter Salas threes and the plays that he made, that is clutch. It doesn't have to come at the end of a clock. Clutch, that's not just clutch.
Time and place of the game. You had 6 seconds left. He had the ball.
Sure.
But
Jeremy Roach has won games for us at the end of games.
And if Jeremy Roach had the ball in his hands, I would have told him the same thing. Get your shoulder to the rack and go.
That's what I want to see. I don't want to see John, quote unquote, in his bag at the end of a game. I don't need to see him running a play or running.
But correct me if I'm wrong, though. We didn't have any timeouts.
We did not.
No,
we
did
not.
not.
So that it was kind of like
45 seconds left.
We just hey, just go. But that's the thing, though, is that I'm pretty sure they talked about it in the timeout that they probably said, hey,
at least the one before
X, Y, or Z. But if you look at the last play, they had 3 guys occupying the same space.
Yeah. And
that's what fucked the whole play up. You know what I mean? So and Duke does that a lot. Where they're
brought up that Duhon. No, my bad, Paul. I was just saying I brought up the Duhon Jason Williams play. The Duhon Jason Williams play was a busted play that just happened to work out. Chris Duhon shot a floater from the elbow. That's not supposed to drop. You know what I mean?
That's not
I'm not blaming either one of those guys. All I'm saying is I think this does solidify at the very least. I honestly look. I love Flip. This has nothing to do with the past couple of weeks or anything. I think Flip is a great basketball player. He's an All-American caliber basketball player. I don't want him with the ball 35 feet away from the basket in a clutch situation. I want that ball in either Jeremy Roach's hands or Tyrese Proctor's hands. Whoever wants it out of those two, take it. It's yours.
Or whoever just happens to have it.
Right, which is what
absolutely
that was the point that happened. Everybody's like, well, should it be Jeremy? Should it be? Tyrese was right there. He was the one that got the ball.
We didn't have time for the should it be.
Right, exactly. Right.
The clock was fucking ticking. We have to go.
Right. And
but that's the whole makeup of Tyrese, though. That's Tyrese, though. He's looking to pass. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's.
But if there was something that sparked in his brain at that game, that takes Duke to the Final Four.
Well, I think
that's why we said, you know what I mean, we need an aggressive Tyrese. We're good. You know what I'm saying? So he got to be aggressive on that play, and that should have been hey, Flip, get the fuck out of the way. Mark, get the fuck out of the way. I'm going. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I'm just play. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
5
that's
out, 5 out,
mentality.
ISO. Let's go.
Yeah,
And I
That's not
think
his
going
mentality,
forward,
so.
if that presents itself again, he will take that lane all day long.
yeah, in a close, physical, high intensity game like that, you lose by a possession, possession or two, you're splitting hairs, especially when you play well. Of, oh, if we had just done this, if we didn't make this turnover, and that's what happens. But to AC's point way earlier in this podcast, it's like, okay, that's the good thing about this is where you can point to a couple of different things, and we just clean one or two of these things up. And that end of game scenario is a perfect example of just clean that up. That now we don't have to worry about it. Now I don't have to worry about should I pass the Flip or is he going to do this or is he going to do that, because I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the rim. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to put this team on my back, and it wins or loses with me. And you live with that as a leader. And so like that to me is the difference. And I think that they'll figure that out.
Thank you,
And
baby.
so whether we win the game, we lose the game, whatever, it means that if you can come away from this and look at those scenarios and say, never again. I think there's a lot of positives. I really do. I'm usually the most defeatist after a loss in this group. But I mean, I came away like I hate to lose, but I didn't come out of there being like, we're fucked. No, there's a lot to be optimistic about because I think this team is trending in the right direction. Like Pablo said at the end of, or in that Miami game, that game was a perfect example of what this Duke team is capable of. And I don't think that's the last time that we're going to see that. So we'll get it there. But let's get into the mailbag because we do have a couple questions from our Discord. So if you're on Discord, if you want to join, please check us out. We'll
On the Discord through the Patreon.
Yep, we got them all there. So go on the Patreon, find our Discord, and you can submit questions to the mailbag. First one coming from our friend Sam. Is it good for a team to lose before the tournament? Specifically speaking, this team. Probably you kind of touched on this earlier. Kind of gave your answer that you don't really think that's necessary, but I'll let you kind of expand on that.
Yeah, I think I said it on the spaces too. I think I don't know, man. I think it go either way, but I could see if Duke was like 29-0, you know what I'm saying, and they just never experienced any kind of adversity whatsoever. I think for this particular team, I know it was kind of like a general question, but it's on the 5-point play. So we talking about Duke. I think for this team, we've been through adversity from the start of the season. So much adversity that we don't even need, we don't need any more to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we hit all the marks, you know what I'm saying? So now it's just time to take what we learn and play. You know what I mean? So I don't really subscribe to we need to lose a game before we head into the tournament. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it ain't gonna fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? You could pretty much learn. You can almost, if you really strip it all the way down, you probably could learn the same thing in a loss that you can in a win. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just depending on, and of course some things are situational. So that's just how I feel about it, man. So great question. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate that question, but that's just how I feel. I don't know. You guys can speak on
it. This team, with this loss in particular, I could see it going. Short answer, yes. I think for this team, this particular loss could be good. It could galvanize these kids some more. It could put a chip on your shoulder some more, like Tyrese Proc. Like, people hate that feeling. Competitors hate losing, and then you got the whole, the fans on the court. Like, you don't want to do that again. The next time you celebrate and are jumping around on the court, you want to see Duke blue confetti falling down. Like, and if you have that feeling of we don't want to feel like this anymore, we're going to play with a chip on our shoulder, we're going to do this, and this different. It could galvanize them, man. I mean,
for instance, we're gonna beat NC State's ass.
Yeah, like NC State might be.
We're gonna beat that ass in Raleigh, bro.
It
ain't coming down to a court storm again in Raleigh, baby. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, because I don't think these kids want to feel like that anymore. All of these dudes are competitors, and yeah, Sam, I think this loss could help this team by just galvanizing them just a little bit more.
Jack,
I mean, what more do they need to learn, though?
Look, that's not necessarily about learning anything. Like we understand that we've gone through
I'll touch on
adversity.
that. After Jack, I'll touch on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I mean, I'm going to agree with D saying that this team, yes, I think the loss was good. That being said, I don't necessarily. I will amend the question. I'll say that a close game is good for a team trying to make a tournament run because you look at like the example I'm going to use is a team that I am not old enough to remember playing, but the 98-99 team. Sorry to make you guys feel old if I am. That that team lost in the championship because they didn't know how to play from behind or play a close game because they had one loss coming into that game and it was in November, December, something like that. That team did not know how to play a close game because they were so good. And championship comes, it's a close game. They can't close it out. I think a close game is important for that reason. That being said, I think this loss, like D said, will kind of galvanize the team, bring them together, make them reassess in the way that we keep coming back to that 2015 team. They lost 2 in a row and then went on a huge run the rest of the way, only lost 1 game.
The 09-10 team lost in March. They lost, I want to say it was to Maryland late in the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
Yeah, go ahead, AC.
Yeah, no, it's situations. It's situations. It doesn't have to necessarily end in a loss. The failure does breed success sometimes. It just depends on where you are. Jack was talking about us being old, bringing up the 98-99 team. I was going to bring up 91 UNLV, bro. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things, like, that's one of the things that Coach K brought to his locker room with 91 UNLV was that they've never played a close game. We have. It's belief. We talked about this on our thread. Belief is dangerous, man, for any team, no matter how good or bad you are. If you have the just a shred of belief, you can do anything you want to do, but at least for a certain amount of time. And I think situations are so important. Like we now have another situation under our belt that we hadn't experienced that, which is a chance at a game-winning shot with this particular roster. We didn't have that, so now we have that under our belt, and now we know what better to do now in that situation because. You know, we talk about a team that shoots the lights out, and we won't see that again. We will see that again in the NCAA
100%.
tournament because when we play some 7 seed or some 10 seed that is trying to make a statement for themselves, they're going to play like that. So we got to be able to withstand that storm. So in my opinion, does it need to be a loss? It doesn't necessarily need to be a loss if your team already believes in what it is you're saying. And I think this team believes in what John is saying. And now if you're dealing with a bunch of knuckleheads that are like, we ain't going to listen to you, we're just going to run up and down the floor. All right, then a coach can go back after a loss and say, all right, now y'all need to shut up and listen to me. That gives a coach an ability to say that. But I don't think a coach ever wants his team to lose. They never want their team to lose unless it's Coach K and John Daly and the dream team losing to the college kids or whatever they said they needed to do for that team. But they didn't need to do nothing for them. But yeah, like if you need to if you need to get your knuckleheads in line, then a loss works for you. I'll bring up 05 UNC when they won that title with Rashad McCants and those dudes because they were already dealing with some chemistry shit with Rashad McCants and those guys. They lost a couple late season games. I think they lost in the ACC tournament, if I'm not mistaken, with that team. Either way, Roy got to say shut up, and they moved on. They did what they needed to do. So I think that's all that matters with that. I think that's the only thing a loss I think does for some of those teams. I think in general, though, getting situations under your belt is a good thing. And the more situations you can get, especially this late in the season, the better.
Yeah, got nothing to add to that. I think all of you make really good points. I think it's situational. I would have brought up the same thing that Jack did. It's one thing if like a team's on a heater and they haven't played any close games. You know, a close game you can get tight, and you know bad things can happen if you're not used to playing in those. And plus, game pressure gets on you at that point, especially when you're a team that's rattled off 15, 17, 20 games in a row. We're not in that position. So for this particular team, it's every game, every opportunity is a learning moment. And if we take those and learn from them and execute properly, we're going to be tough to beat. I feel really good about where we're at. The second mailbag question is a tough one because we've actually kind of already talked about it, so I kind of feel bad for my boy Better, who's actually one of our best posters over on Discord. So I want to give him a shout out. We kind of already touched on it, so I don't know if we have anything else to add to it, but his question was, what's the biggest takeaway from the end of the Wake game, not the court storming? Who should have the ball at the end of game situations? AC, you kind of said that, you said the same thing, like whoever, whether it's Roach or Proctor.
I'll go more specific to answer the question.
Okay.
Roach.
Yes.
If we're gonna go down this season, I want to go down with our senior leader who probably doesn't have the other team's best defender on him in a 5-out situation, who can get to the bucket against anyone and make a shot and lay up against anyone without thinking about passing the ball, without having any doubt in his mind. Give me Roach, because he's done it before. That's my opinion on it. That's my takeaway from that. Give me Roach. I know what Proctor has. I know his abilities. I would love for him to be that guy because it's unfucking stoppable. However,
hypothetically, I agree with you. But hypothetically, let's say that Duke was able to take it to the timeline, call a timeout, draw something up. Hell yeah, Roach. Hell yeah, Roach. I don't think you even question that, correct?
No, that's what I mean. Whether we draw something up or not, if John is on the sideline screaming spread, and we spread and run the ISO, give me Roach, because he's done it, and he there's so much there's a lot of doubt to be had in Tyrese's mind right now still, because he still hasn't had a chance to do it yet. Now, if he gets a regular season opportunity to do it and proves himself, ball's yours, bro. Because his talent is better, his size is better, all that is better. But Jamie Roach right now is shooting the ball from 3. Yeah, I said it.
Whoa.
Shooting the ball from 3 at a historic clip. He gets to the bucket. He's wild to get into the bucket. He's an elite. He got an elite layup package for somebody who's 5'11". Like, I'm taking Roach, man. He's done it before. He's done it on a team that's had All-Americans, NBA All-Stars. You name it, he's done it. He's done it during a pandemic. He's done it during Coach K's last game. He's done it during Coach K's last season. He's done it for John Shire's first season. And now here we go. This team gets to the Final Four or national championship, man. This kid has had the wildest career. Let him have the ball, man. Let a dude who's gone through all that, give him the ball, bro.
Anybody have anything different? Pablo, you got anything to add there?
Yeah, I do. First of all, AC, pause. Second, second, I think you know what I mean? Like, I always look at stuff from like a coaching standpoint. I guess that's probably, I need to stop doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I agree with you guys. It should be Roach, but I think it could be situational as well. It's only one or two players, Roach or Flip. You know what I mean? Bottom line, if I'm, what I mean? Because it could be a situation where you got
sure. If they're dumb enough to help off,
guard and Flip on the perimeter,
right?
Hell yeah, I'm gonna give Flip the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it could be a switch, somebody smaller on Flip or whatever. You know what I mean? Hell yeah, I'm giving them the ball. But at the end of the day, if I want somebody off the dribble or just to make a play from the perimeter, for the most part, it's gonna be Jeremy for sure.
No, you're right though, right? Like the play at the end of the UVA game, I bet we would see that play again from John in a draw situation to end the game, because the play worked. It was successful. It just wasn't called. Like that's a play I could see happening at the end of the game. Them helping off on our elite guards, and Flip is available on the baseline. That's an easy bucket. Like, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I just in that situation, I want the ball in the hands of somebody who I know is going to make he's going to have a decision ready. Like we talked about Reese being indecisive, you know what I mean? Like, nah, Roach is ready. He this is what I want to do with the ball.
He got the pedigree for it. You know what I'm saying? He's proven, like you said, he's proven.
I think that
time
mistake
and time again.
is going to change.
He's
that
also a good decision maker.
I hope so, D. I really do hope so, D. I don't think anybody's questioning Tyrese Proctor's ability. I just think it's
no.
I think it's the experience level, and in this case, experience does matter. He's a senior. He's done these things before. I think that's where I sit on it.
Absolutely, but we've all said we need Reese to do Tyrese Proctor type shit in order for Duke to get where we want him to go.
And maybe that's not at the end of the game. Maybe that's the other 38 minutes.
No, but you have the ball and you have 8 seconds left. Like now it is you. Now it is the end of the game. Figure it out. Like, you got to do something. This is what we need. And I think you said we got to learn something from a loss, just like we learned something from a win. That's what he's learning from this loss.
I hope it's either.
He said that's on me as the captain, right? As a captain of this team, I should have taken that to the rack. My
the
bad.
learning moment is either that he does learn that, or he's still not comfortable with it, and it's Jeremy's ball. Those are the two learning moments. It's either Jeremy should have the ball, it should have gone to him to begin with, or it is Reese, go do your thing. It's one of those two things. The learning moment it's nothing other than one of those two things. There's nothing else to learn. It's one of
100%.
those two.
Well, I hope we don't have to show that in our next game, which is Jack, your Louisville Cardinal, playing at home.
They're not mine.
7
Come
p.m.
on.
7 p.m.
They're yours. You're gonna be there.
ACC Network for you four. Your boy will be in Cameron for this one. Look, I don't know who's going to play for Duke. I don't know who's not going to play. It wouldn't shock me if Taylor Foster does not play. I think Flip will. AC, just give me a prediction here. I just want to blow him the fuck out.
Yeah, 85, 55. 85, 55. I feel like Phil will play. He should be healthy enough to play. There's no reason to sit him if he's not. Caleb is up in the air, whatever. 85, 55. We should beat the shit out of them at home.
Yeah, Jack, you know these guys better than anybody. What does Duke have
No,
to
I
do to get a
don't.
blowout?
I don't watch them. Duke has to put 5 scholarship athletes out there for 40 minutes. It doesn't matter which 5. Any combination of their scholarship athletes needs to play a total of 40 minutes out there, and they will win. Honest opinion, I don't think Flip will play because I think this is the perfect opportunity for him to get rest regardless because it's Louisville and they are not a good basketball team right now. So I don't. If he plays, I will be surprised. Same thing with Caleb. I think the rest of the team is still more than enough to beat Louisville handily. I'll go with 77 to 59.
D?
No score prediction for me, man. Just win. But Duke needs Mark Mitchell to be the Mark Mitchell that we saw in February and the end of January, because it is clear as day, if nobody's paying attention, that when this kid does not score 10, 12, 14, 15 plus, and he's the leading scorer, second leading scorer with a double-double, Duke loses. And there's no other stat that can prove that wrong. Like, that is a fact. When he doesn't score a double-double, Duke loses. So this team goes as far as Mark Mitchell guy. And we said this earlier. He's the keystone, right?
He's the X factor.
Proctor's driving the bus, right? He's the keystone. And we got Sean Stewart as the X factor over here, just ready to be uncaged.
The Four Loco, baby.
You know what I'm saying? Just so
Mad Dog 2020.
let's just.
Hey, that stuff's good though.
Like I say every podcast,
You ain't had old Mad Dog.
a little bit of.
No, I have not.
Like a little bit of progression. What did we learn? What other chain have we put in this link here, or link have we put in this chain? You know what I mean? Just win.
Pablo?
We know what Paolo's gonna say.
Come on, man. You already know. Just fucking win, bro. Just fucking win. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Louisville, but we about to whip that ass.
We love you, Nolan.
Yeah, 84-60 is what I'm going with. Bigger game on Saturday. Conor brought it up earlier in the podcast. UVA is not playing their best basketball. It was a closer game. Apparently, it's just a terrible game against UNC in Charlottesville. But AC, maybe Flip doesn't play. Maybe Jack's right. Maybe Flip doesn't play on Wednesday. I think we need to have him on Saturday. Tony Bennett usually coaches very well against us, but we got payback on our mind from last year too.
Sure.
So I know that we won ACC championship, but we still want payback for the regular season.
Sure. No, you're dealing with a UVA team that other teams in the ACC have kind of figured out a little bit. Which one of those things they figured out is how to defend this team from three. And one thing you can do with UVA, because they don't necessarily have an elite, not even elite, just super capable post scorers and anything like that. Like, you can switch on them and you can make their life difficult from three. And I think that's what we need to do. We earlier in the season, we were a better 3-point percentage defense than we have been lately. I'd like to see us kind of get back to that. I think we can. I don't know that we're going to turn them over a lot. They don't turn the ball over a lot earlier in the season. They don't do so as much anymore. They still always take care of the ball. Tony Bennett teams are always going to take care of the ball, so we don't need to rely on turnovers. I'll rebound them, put them in the bad shot situations, and I think we walk away with a win. I think it's as simple as that. John has been the architect for how we play offense against UVA for the past few years, even when he was an assistant with Kay. He was the one who was coming up with the game plan on how to beat that pack line, and started with what Zion and RJ were able to do. But I mean, you had transcendental players doing that. But what they found, and even with Justice before that, what they found was being able to tack off elbow and off angle against the pack line and not sticking the ball in the corner was key to beating this defense. So I think you'll continue to see that more, especially with the guys that we have who can drive the ball in the way we shoot. So I think we walk away with a win. I don't think we beat them by like 30 or anything like that, but they hold teams to about 59 points or something like that. I think we'll score more than that. I think we'll probably be in that 66, 70 point range, and I think they'll be probably closer to about 45 or 50.
All right, Jack, what do you got?
It's going to be an awful game just because I hate watching Virginia basketball. They are painful. Painful. It's also just very much a one-man team. It's Reese Beekman. Stop him, you stop Virginia. That's just how UVA is. It's going to be an awful watch, but I'm going to watch anyway because I love Duke. That's just, that's how it is. Yeah, obviously, regular season revenge, you got to have that on your mind. I actually do think Flip's going to have a very good game because I don't think they have anyone that can really match up that well with him. It's Virginia. They don't play good basketball on the offensive side right now. And also, AC, I do want to counter something you said. You said the three-point defense hasn't exactly been great of late. The Wake game has been an outlier. Outside of that game, in the month of February, Duke's holding their opponents below 30% from three. It's the best month defensively they've had from three all season. I'll say if they can keep that up against both Louisville and Virginia, they have a really good shot of going into Carolina with a pair of wins under their belt. There's a game between them, but I completely forgot about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. D, what do you got?
Just win, man. I hope Duke can be the one who sets the tempo, and they don't play like Carolina played Virginia-style basketball, and they just happened to win because Cormac Ryan went nuts. I don't want to see that. I want Duke to control the tempo, and Virginia has to play Duke-style basketball because that would show me more than Duke just hanging around and beating Virginia in a real sloppy game. That's all I got with that. And it's Virginia, so there's not much to say other than it's going to be boring as shit.
Pablo?
It's going to be boring as shit.
I'm with you.
It's predictable. Their whole season's predictable.
Tony Bennett for getting recruits on this boring shit, but it'll be boring.
This is going to be
not lately.
Well. Pablo, what do you got?
It's going to be a lot harder than y'all think it's going to be.
I remember you saying before you thought this was going to be the toughest game to end the season.
Yep. It's going to be a lot harder than you think it's going to be. Because, yeah, I mean, traditionally, nobody runs on Virginia, period. You know what I'm saying? And we definitely don't run on Virginia. You know what I mean? So the success we've had with Virginia is we just had better talent. But we also had really explosive athletes. We don't have that this year. You know what I'm saying? Like we got better talent, obviously, but we don't have better. We don't have those explosive athletes, and they got some guys, man. I don't think we should sleep on it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's gonna be closer than what everybody think it's gonna be. Tony Bennett obviously is an excellent coach, and they do some things that can give us some trouble. So we'll see, but let's go Duke.
Yeah, I think we found a way to win. I think it's difficult to try to play our style of basketball against any Tony Bennett team. We all admit that this game is going to be boring. It's going to be slow because that's just what UVA does. They take the air out of the ball offensively. They make you work for 25, 30 seconds of the shot clock, and they're just fundamentally sound defensively. And I think that is going to be tough for us. We got to stay disciplined for Duke and just hit the shots that you get, and play solid defense, and don't let them see a lot of open looks. So I guess
it boils down to making shots. Go ahead,
100%.
CK. I'm sorry. Give your thing.
I was just going to say, I got 60-60. I think it'll be low in scoring, but I think we find ways to win. I think we'll hit some free throws at the end. But an 8-point win against UVA might as well be 14-15.
That's what they say. That's the cliche.
You know what
That's
I
what
mean?
they say.
So, but go ahead, AC. I know you want to.
No, this truly boils down to making shots. If the way we pass the ball and we pass against the grain, that's one thing you got to do against backline defense is pass against the grain. And we do a great job of making the middle of a defense, making one pass and then getting an extra pass. And then a lot of times you'll see an extra pass on the perimeter after that one once the defense rotates. So what I mean by passing against the grain, we're passing against the rotation. That is a great way to get an open shot against the backline defense. And I think in Cameron, I feel confident that we'll be able to do that, quite honestly. That's just my opinion on it. I think it boils on if we hit shots early and we get ahead. McNeely has already said in press conferences that this team doesn't play well from behind. Like that's his famous quote from the season, and that he said we don't play well from behind. So and it's evident. It's not this Tony Bennett squads have never historically been great at playing from behind in games. So if we build a lead, I feel good. I feel comfortable with us holding that lead. That's where I sit with it.
Agreed.
If we don't hit shots and if we're bricking all over the place, it's a close game and it's a difficult game. That's with anybody in the country. But I think if we're hitting shots, we beat UVA.
And I think that's what happens. And overall, look, Duke is playing good basketball. Duke is ready to kind of take it to that next level. We got 4 regular season games left. We got Louisville, we got Virginia, we go to Raleigh, and then we got the big one March 9th. Duke is trending in the right direction. Let's get a W. Let's do Duke. AC, take us off.
Let's go, baby. Thank you all for tuning in to the 5 Point Play podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for Conor O'Neill from Devils Illustrated for coming on today. We got Patreon, we got Twitter, we got Instagram. You see all the Twitter handles on here. This is us, y'all. Come join the 5 Point Play. Come join the 5 Point Fam. Hashtag. You know what it is. Other people are there already. Join the crew. We got the Discord. We got everything that you guys want and need. The off season's about to be crazy over there. So 5 Point Play podcast. Let's go Duke.
Let's go Duke.
Go Duke.